maybe this question a lot of people to ask you before. From your point of view, why Oscar to give the prize for you for Dedolight? What will be the reason?
The recognition that we received from the Oscar committee 2 times was because of our different approach to optical systems and lighting. For over 100 years, nothing had changed in studio lighting. And all of the other studio lights are still being built according to the original principles of one spherical lens, a Fresnel lens, a lamp and a reflector moving, and that's the end of story. Our first step was to introduce a second lens, and that gave us better focusing range, higher light output, more even light distribution. And what I originally wanted was to build a smaller instrument that had a high light output, but a very controlled light output, because that's what was missing in the arsenal of lighting equipment. And that is the reason why we call our lights precision lighting instruments. Not everybody needs that. But if they need high precision, high control over light and shadow shaping, high control over the light beam, the big reach of it, then that is us. And that's what we were recognized for. And that's the reason why wherever the most highest demands are on control over the lighting, like in the special effects, for example, in the Harry Potter films, there are some Dedolights on the normal set. One day they're used, another day not. But all the special effects, that's only Dedolight. Same story pretty much on Lord of the Rings, American Beauty, many of the blockbuster films, and we took this kind of high precision optical systems also and made it available for the smallest team. And that has a particular importance today, because it used to be a very exclusive club of the directors of photography. That was like the high society, the holy grail, the American Society of Cinematographers, the Russian Guild of Cinematographers, the German Society of Cinematographers. Now we live through a democratization of these production tools. And the cameras allow you today, at a very low cost, to make incredible images because of the high ISO, high resolution, high contrast ratio. So one would think with these wonderful new cameras, nobody needs lights anymore. And it's true. You do not need lights anymore for exposure. You can shoot in the darkest tunnel, push the button, you have an image. But there's more to our profession. There's creating the illusion, the magic of images that are all shot with one-eyed cameras. And one-eyed cameras can only give two-dimensional images. So in lighting, we can create the feeling of depth of space, and that helps us to make the pictures more interesting, maybe also more beautiful. So that is one of the tasks of lighting. That is one of the tasks of image composition. All we do is that we provide tools How they're being used is a different matter. We try to provide the better tools that give more control. Like for some parts of a big painting, the painter may need a really big brush, an 18K light. But then for other parts of the painting, he needs the precision. That's us. And I think they're not better lights for precision lighting than what we have. And that's why we got the recognition from the Oscar committee. That's why these lights are used wherever the highest demands are. Not everybody needs that. But we make the same equipment available for the 2-people team, the 1-people team, with no compromise on the lighting quality, and give even the smallest producer that we call sort of the guerrilla-style producer, the one that never attended a film school, that tried to learn by doing, to give him the tools to be creative and be in control in very easy ways. And those people have no time. They have an acute lack of hands, time, money. And for them, we offer these portable studio kits that contain all the creative possibilities. That was the start. Now, this is also entering photography. Photography was big, huge flash systems, and now with the higher sensitivity of the cameras, we always were involved in still life, tabletop, anything that could be done with highly precise lighting and long exposure times. But now, with the high sensitivity of the cameras, we're also in fashion and moving and people, in wedding photography, in many other fields, where the photographer is rethinking with continuous light. One thing is, what you see is what you get. And also, you can be more mobile. You can run. You can have one single light and a battery, and they do wonderful images. I'm amazed. As a film cameraman, I always thought you need many lights. But some of the photographers use the available light and just add a little bit of an accent, a little bit of a feeling, and that's the art of transporting emotions, feelings, creating interesting images, guiding the attention of the viewer. That's all what lighting can do. But all that we offer is just tools. How they're being used. If a painter buys the most expensive brush, doesn't make him a good painter. It's how the tools are being used. So we're simply offering the tools and also the educational approach to tell people a little bit about how to use them, how others are using them, showing them how to. How far this will go, we'll have to see. But this is where very intensely we're making big efforts in the educational approach, teaching people not only what are the lights, how do they work, but how do you use them? What possibilities, what gates open to your dreams in good lighting?
What is the position of Dedolight on movie industry from your point of view?
If you talk about big feature films, there are some that have been lit only with Dedolight. Usually there's a mixture of lighting instruments, some big ones, some small ones. Our place is where you need the highest degree of precision, where you need the most selective control over the lighting. So you may have a whole selection of tools, of instruments, but this is like the high precision, like wherever you need the surgical precision, the very, very fine definition of light and shadow. That's where you will find our lights. So they're just one of the many tools that the creative filmmaker can use. Maybe he doesn't need the precision. Maybe the whole film is done with very gentle light, very, very soft light, with all fluorescent lighting, all reflected lighting, all indirect lighting, all ambient lighting. But if he wants to fine-tune the light, then he may very well use our tools. And in that field, I think we're the best. And that's why wherever the demands are high for precision, that's what we will be. At the same time, we also have soft lights, like the one we're using here, that have not only a very special character, because they have no hotspot, they provide this loving, embracing light, the beautiful light that the photographer knows from the beauty of a big window facing north, the very gentle light. You don't have to look at the famous Dutch painters to get a feeling for this gentleness of light. They're also very practical, because you can set them up extremely quickly in the smallest spaces, and that's for the teams that have to move fast. They're really extremely useful. In a big studio, yes, you can find our lights. But if you move from one location to another practical sets, you shoot in a police station, in a hospital, in a school, in grandmother's kitchen. That's where our portable window, soft light, as well as the whole concept of the portable studio, really has its place and has its use. And so this covers the whole field, from lighting for an interview, lighting for drama, and even for many tasks of the photographer. So we have our little niche where we have different lights, and for special tasks where we have better solutions that not everybody needs, but when they need it, then they have to come to us, because in this field we are very special and have invested a lot of time, of energy, of creativity, but most of it also nowadays based on the dialogue with the user, the dialogue with a creative user who says, wouldn't it be possible to do something like this? And then I'm a good partner, because I like to play. I'm a very naive cameraman. I'm like a little boy in a sandbox. Somebody says, can't we build something like this? Then, yeah, we'll try and do it. That's why we have so many different solutions, which for our representatives, our agents, our distributors, is a nightmare. So many different products, so many different accessories, but they all came from the wishes of users and said, can't we do this, can't we do that? So if you look at it as a whole segment, it's a nightmare, it's too much. But if you're looking for something special, do you have something for this purpose? Yes, we do. And if we don't have it, talk to us, we'll make it.
Now we back to the field, the movie industry. On the movie industry, the standard built up by United States, they have a very mature workflow for the arrangement. and you on this industry for so many years, for their organization of the workflow, it will be the good stuff for the lighting and photography, and what your point of view for this industry for such arrangement?
Yes. The American film industry is very powerful, very well recognized, and a lot of money is spent there. And they make some of the most successful films worldwide, but they also make some very gentle films, very creative films, very valuable films that nobody sees. But then there are many other countries that also have an incredible potential, because the potential is not only in the bank account, in the distribution systems. I see it that the really important potential is in the human soul, the human heart, the brain, because the most important asset in filmmaking is a good story. And that does not necessarily come from the big bank account. That comes sometimes from people who have no money but good ideas, and they have to use simpler, cheaper methods of production, but they can produce wonderful films. And in this field also, many, many years ago, the German film industry played an important role. That was in the 20s and early 30s. And then, after the Second World War, there were other countries, like Hungary, Poland, Italy, France, and always also England, that produced wonderful films. There were the Scandinavian films, the Swedish films, and also from the Polish film school came many of the people that are now really very, very successful in Hollywood. There's a famous Russian film school that was world famous, and people came from other countries, learned Russian just to be able to attend this film school. And there are also some films from China that have the potential to touch your heart, that show an incredible sensitivity and refinement of production quality and creative potential. But usually people don't see Chinese films, people don't see Russian films, people don't see Polish films. So the business is Hollywood and to some extent England, and that may stay this way because that's a tradition, and there's a lot of money behind it, and also good people, very experienced people. But the potential to make high-class, very creative films that touch the soul of other people, that's with many countries. And I'm hoping that this new world, the democratization of production tools, will open new doors. Many of the new producers that buy their camera in the duty-free shop at the airport may not be there in another 2 years. But among those, also there'll be some talents that will grab the chance and bring it to great success. And some of the super films are made under terrible conditions, and some of the films that everybody still looks at the film school, they were done by an employee of the Spanish embassy in Paris. He was shooting his films in a very simple way. He was editing his films at the kitchen table with a pair of scissors. And you still look at it. The Chien Andalou, Buñuel, some of these films came out of nowhere, and they still make a good impression and an indelible impression on people's minds and their soul and their creative spirits today. So there's no limit. And it's not only Hollywood. Yes, for the blockbusters, for the big money, they have something to play with. But a lot of the Hollywood films are not made in Hollywood anymore. They were shot in Australia, they were shot in Canada, because the production facilities there were more accessible, cheaper, and there are also wonderful teams there. So it's international, and that's also where I think China can play an important role. Whether they will ever manage to get their films seen by people in Texas, that remains to be seen. Yeah? Because English language films seem to be gaining ground on the international market, and foreign language films have a much more difficult time. But this should not discourage us, because especially China, you have an audience that is as large as any country on the earth. And so the potential to reach people here and then go across the borders, that's also here just as much as anywhere else, or even more.
For the young generation photographer and lighting guy, any suggestion from you to let them to understanding how to make light?
The student, the beginner, even the amateur, has an incredible chance, first, if they like what they're doing, if they put their motivation and their passion into their work, they can play. They can try out things that the professional, like the employee of a TV channel, cannot do. And a lot of the TV series, they're factory work. How many minutes of airtime do you produce every day? And it's all the same, it's all the same, it's all the same. Every day. But the newcomer, the beginner, the student, has this incredible chance that they can play. And today, it doesn't cost anything. Many people can afford a camera. And the cameras that you can afford will give you images like never before in the history of mankind. When I started, a film camera was a huge investment. You had to go to a rental house. You had to have a huge budget. Now, even the cheapest cameras will give you image quality that is a total dream. So there are all of a sudden no limits. And this allows newcomers, students, the guerrilla-style producers, the amateur, to produce image quality. But image quality does not make a good film. Good lighting doesn't make a good film. It's just one of the many steps. If you don't have a good story, if you don't have something that has the potential of touching people's emotion and their heart, then even the biggest money, the biggest budget will not really help you. So it's the creativity of the individual mind or the team that can make wonderful projects more today than ever before, because the tools are available pretty much for everybody.
Could you tell me when Dedolight landing to the China market? For the China market future, what your expectation for the market?
We have been working with Johnny for many, many years. And he's been to China many, many, many times. And we have not landed yet at all. Because our lights cannot be sold by brand collectors. Our lights can be shown on the internet, but that's not the way to sell them. Our lights cannot be shown in catalogs or in advertising. Yes, those are necessary, but the main ingredient to enter the minds and the dreams of creative people is a good partner. And that's what we feel is a new start and a new beginning, and the first time that we're talking to somebody who has an understanding for the needs of creative people. Because our lights are not tools for the kitchen or garden. They're a little bit special, they're different. And that's why we need a team that understands what we have and is able to explain them. Today we did a nice seminar, and I think we had a lot of interest and a lot of feedback. But that's totally useless if there's not somebody where these people can go and say, can you show me? How do you use it? What is it? Can you help me? And with such partners, we can really land with some people and more people and more people, but it takes a lot of work. It takes investment in not only in money, it's an investment in your heart, in your soul, that you have to love this profession. That's where we're at home. And I hope we can find this home with our new partner in China, and that is Alwick, and that is Nexor, and it cannot be one person. It has to be a whole team. And the team has to understand it and stand behind it and be motivated so that they are willing to show, to tell, to give to people, say, try this out, play with it. That's how we can enter. That's not the modern way. The modern way is to be cheaper, make more noise on the internet, count more pixels. A lot of attention is given to, well, counting pixels. Are you a 4K man or a 6K man? That's important. That's wonderful. But our world takes a little bit of passion, understanding, and dedication and time, and that is not limited to a particular nation or language. That means finding partners who are willing to invest a little bit of their soul in it, and a little bit of understanding and relationships, so that we can find the hearts of creative people who say, I want to do this, do you understand? And that understanding is what can really help us a lot. We're only offering tools. So we have to teach people how to use them and how to use them in creative works and listening to them. What do you want to do? So it's teaching and listening. I don't know which of those is more important. But for this, we need a very special team, and I have the feeling we found it here, we found it in Guangzhou, and we can build something with it. How quick this can be done, nobody knows. How much work is to be done, how many hours to be spent training your team, the team training, people are interested, teaching them, showing them, that's a lot of work. But in many countries, we have that. And the potential of a growing understanding of special tools, they're just tools. They don't make a good painter, they don't make a good cameraman, they don't make a good lighting man, but they can help him. So for this, we need the partnership, the follow-up, the presence, the availability. Can I take a look at it? Can I try it out? Can I play with it? That's our way. And in that way, we can be successful. And that kind of a partner we've not had in China. But I'm sure, I know that there are many people who have creative dreams and creative capability. And we saw that from our international competition, where there quite a number of entries came from China, and many of those showed incredible creative potential. And that's what we want to address. Those are the people that we want to talk to, get their feedback, work with them, and they will help us in their understanding. And to open those doors is not only a business proposition. It's a proposition of dedication to the art, not only of lighting, but the art of creating images, and that is only a tool, again, to help telling a story and creating valuable content, because we want to convey messages to people. And for that, all these are steps, and we're just a very small part of it. But in that part, we offer instruments that have a special value, but people have to learn about them. I can only talk about the way I see it. And I'm a cameraman. Today you call it the director of photography, and that's been my whole life, creating movies, films, images. And so my hope is that we can find a way to talk and to communicate with other people who have a passion for images and good movies and good stories to tell. And that is something that is global. That is in every market. But I don't want to talk about markets. I want to talk about people and their hearts and their passion. Yes, for this we also need somebody who's got some practical experience, who can make it happen. It doesn't only exist from dreams and emotions. How do you approach people? And to make something happen like this today is not only goodwill and emotions, it's money, it's investment and time and a team, and for this I need a partner. I'm just a simple, naive cameraman, and those are the people that I can talk to. And to find a partner who has the dual understanding of the art and the feeling for good images, and also as a good businessman and a good organizer. That's the ideal partner for me, and that I can support in my way. But without such a partner, we have no chance. And I have the feeling that with Nexor and his team, we found a very high potential for such a partnership. And I would like to support this, and I hope we can build on it. I think you were quite insecure how this would all go. Yeah? So was I. So was Johnny. But I think it went reasonably well, and people saw that we have something to offer. And I hope that today is a wonderful day. I think very satisfactory for you, for me, and for the audience. And that's the most important, that they think they took something home. But if you and your team don't follow up, it'll be forgotten very quickly. So the main work, the most important work, is that people invest the time, the goodwill, and also that there's money in follow-up, in trying to talk to people, show them, make things available, and then eventually market, yes, has to do with sales, has to do with money, but also has to do with believability. And that we can only gain when we also do good service. If something goes wrong, if some people have questions, if they need to understand something, and if something gets broken. Our equipment is extremely robust, but it's possible to destroy it, and accidents can happen. And then the good service, somebody who stands behind it and say, give it to me, we'll try and get it back to you tomorrow. That's the key to a good reputation, because all the dreams that I live of good images and all that, is one thing. But the practicality of technical service, technical perfection, good training of the team, and getting answers, that is the key to what you call marketing, and that what I call is reaching the soul of other people through creative instruments. But without your help and the business experience, the team, the training of the team, the investment in time, it can never work. And I think we're in a good way. What I want to add, and not forget, is how grateful I am for what you have done and your team has done, and all the goodwill and the good organization and all the perfect preparation that you've done to make this possible. And that is very valuable and means a lot to me. Not only as a start of a business and a marketing, but also as a start of a partnership and a friendship. So thank you to you, your family, your team, and everything that made this possible, and everybody who was involved. So many, many thanks. I think it was really wonderful and remarkable and made me feel at home.
Last, I must to say thank you for your support.